What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to podcast number 155. Proof of the high value of my SK Wealth Academy Patreon only content. Now, this is not going to be an actual example of Patreon only content. I told you I was probably going to upload probably in the next 10 to 14 days. An example of this will be a real Patreon only podcast that is provided to my patrons only, but I don't want to upload any of the Patreon only podcasts for the month of November yet because they're time sensitive and there's quite a lot of value in that. I know it would upset my paying Patreon members if I uploaded that content now. So I have to wait until the time sensitive content, the value of it kind of fades, and then will eventually upload that for your perusal. For those of you that have been considering, as there's at least like a dozen people that have emailed me saying they're thinking of becoming a Patreon kid, I provide examples. And I actually did this, and I think most of the dozen people that emailed me missed this because only what I'm going to do to give you direct proof of the high value of the Patreon only membership, and that would be at the $5 or above level. So that's only $5 a month, like the cost of one Starbucks coffee per month, and that's the transcendent level or above. You're going to receive this high level, this high value content, and in doing so, to reveal that I'm going to reference podcast number 147, which you can find on this YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on Podbean, or on Spotify or on iTunes, just go to my YouTube channel, SK Wealth Academy Podcast. Make sure it's not the defunct channel, which is just called SK Wealth Academy, but it's the one called SK Wealth Academy podcast number 147. And fast forward to about the 27-minute and 45-second mark. And you'll notice in the title of podcast number 147, it is called Horse Feed Masks for California Restaurant Diners, Raspberry Pi, Gold, and More. So there's no indication in the title of that podcast. I never put any indication that I was providing any type of investment tips in the title. So that's just what I do. I drop gems every once in a while, and they just randomly. That wasn't the only podcast that I dropped information of such high value. I've done it before in the past, but you merely have to follow me. You have to subscribe to my social media platforms. You have to watch or listen to them to catch the gems I randomly and occasionally drop. Or again, you can just join my awesome Patreon community to get even better investment tips than the one I'm going to discuss right now. So the interesting part is probably hardly anybody caught those investment tips because I provided that, like I said, at the 27-minute, 45-second mark, and I could see, and only 172 people watched it, okay? So this is as of November 2nd, 2020. I dropped that on October 9th. Only 172 people watched it. But again, it's a shame YouTube, Google goes ham on me on shadow banning my content because I provide a lot of narratives that go in opposition to the mass media narrative, which they don't like because I am a truth-based content creator. And if there's anything the ruling class hates, it's truth that challenges their propaganda narratives. So they have consistently shadow banned my channel. Only 172 people watch this, but mind you, those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know that billionaire Eric Sprott mentioned he follows my channel because he mentioned my YouTube channel because he mentioned my name in an interview he provided in which he was talking about gold and silver price prediction, saying he watched one of my videos. And you know how many views that video had? That video had less than 3,000 views at the time. So a lot of people, unfortunately, they conflate number of views with value, and they won't watch something unless it has like 500,000 views. So that's why only 172 people watch this, which a lot of people are going to be disappointed when I discuss. Or you can just, like I said, visit the podcast for yourself, 147, and just go to the 27-minute, 45-second mark and listen for the next 5 minutes. But I'm going to discuss it right here. So in that, I said, as an example of the type of investment strategies I provide to only my patrons, I said, I'm going to give you 6 stocks to short. This was just about a little more than 3 weeks ago, right? So from October 9th to October 31st was 22 days and then 24 days. So a little over 3 weeks, right? Okay, and these, I basically said that I believe put options on these 6 stocks I discussed in that podcast were going to make you a lot of money. And in the past, I said I've provided at least a dozen investment tips in the past 18 months that returned high double digit, meaning 50, 60, 70, 80% returns, or high triple digit returns, which means a couple 100% to a few 100%. And I know that that sounds like a scam, right? Because there's so many people scamming people online right now. So that's why I think it's really important for me to come back, point out, hey, this was uploaded on October 9th. There's direct proof of that. You can go and you can go listen and you can go watch it to see for yourself exactly what I said. And, you know, there are all kinds of like every time, like if I look at a YouTube video, I don't know like if this is prevalent in the West, but in Asia, there are all these kind of drop shipping scams. There's some like 20-year-old kid saying, hey, I made $3 million of revenue last year. And this is so easy. Anybody can do it. And they're talking about some kind of drop shipping scam because look, even if they turned over $3 million of product, like in a year, typically profit margins are extremely thin. So like some of these drop shipping scams are saying they have 80% profit margins on the majority of their products sold. I would say that is a complete lying scam. And there's also, as we all know, TikTokers with zero trading experience. They just started day trading because of the viral lockdowns, the economic lockdowns, and they are scamming tons of people by parading as financial gurus, saying how easy it was to day trade, and I'm clearing $10,000 a week day trading now. So I understand that you know, the scam level is extremely high. So that's what I'm going to discuss. So in that podcast 147, October 9th, okay, I said, here are 6 stocks that between now and the US presidential election, that was the time frame I gave, between October 9th and November 3rd, which is the presidential election. I said, these stocks are should move into this range, which then would make it a good short. So even then, it wasn't even, I had to predict. So this, you know how difficult that is? You have to predict where these stocks were going to go to then short. So let's start. PG&E, okay? Ticker symbol PCG on the New York Stock Exchange. I said, if it rises into a price range between $10.50 a share and $11 a share, that it will make a good short. You know where, and I said this on October 9th. On October 16th, it reached a high of $11.07. So it's only 7 cents off on the high mark. And on November 2nd, it closed at $9.56. So it's down 13%. So, you know, if you open up put options on October 9th and at the proper strike prices and expiration dates, that 13% drop in the share price is probably good for at least a 50% yield on put options. And I said, the next thing I said, Boeing is a crap company. And it was rising at the time. I said, if it moves into the $168 to $175 price range, and then I think it is a good opportunity to open up put options on Boeing. You know where it topped off at? It topped off at $173.42. So I was only off by $1.50 and predicting where it would top out. And now, on November 2nd, it closed at $144.39 a share, down 17%. 17% in just 3 weeks. So again, if you open up put options on October 9th, if you watch that video, you'd be sitting on, or could have closed out, more than 50% profits again. I said Tesla, the next company I discussed, Tesla says a crap company. And it was trading at $425 and it was trading at 92 cents a share on October 9th. I said the range again, I said for put options, if it rises to about $460, you know where it peaked at? It peaked on October 14th, just 5 days later after I provided, actually that was 6 days later because I uploaded October 9th, right? But that's really October 8th in America, right? Because I'm in Asia where we're a day ahead. So again, Tesla peaked at $461.30 on October 14th. I was off by $1.30 a shares, predicting where it would peak out. And on November 2nd, market closed at $388.04 a share, down 16%. But these drops in the underlying share price, remember, if you go watch that podcast 147, I said that my investment tips were look to open up put options on these. So 16% gain, again, is going to yield very high double-digit returns on put options. Zoom was the next one. And I said all these were crap companies, and I made the stipulation except for Zoom. I said Zoom was not a crap company, but I said it was definitely overpriced in its share. And I said if you shorted somewhere in between the price range of $478 and $520 a share, that would be a good price range to short it at. And it did actually, this is the one stock that went well over that $520 price range, but it only went over that $520 price range for 4 trading days. And as of the close of November 2nd, it closed at $460.91 a share. So even if you shorted at $520 per my discussion on October 9th and just waited out that, parabolic peak and it immediately dropped back down, it's down 11%. From the top price I discussed to short on October 9th. But recall, when I discuss any types of these investment strategies with my patrons, again, at just a $5 a month level or higher, you get all of these investment tips from me. I provide much more specific price points to short, because when I discuss these shorts, I'm saying today, I think it's a good time to short this particular stock. And so what makes these predictions even more remarkable, that I was giving them on October 9th, trying to predict the top price. And I can't make this up, because again, you could go see, it was uploaded October 9th. Only 172 people watched it. I'm sure there's going to be some more people watching this particular video or listening to it on Podbean. So if you did and you remember staying, if you watched it all the way through to the end, because less than a third of the people actually watched that. So, a third of 172, right? That's not even like 51 people. That's not even like 52 people. So less than a third of those people, or a little less, somewhere between like 51 and 60 people, right? It's a third. So only those amount of people actually even listen to the whole podcast 172 to get to the 27-minute, 45-second mark to hear this. But if you're one of them and are listening to this again, can you just please do me the favor and comment below? Like, I listened to your whole thing. I remember you speaking about this and giving very specific price ranges to open up put options on all these stocks. So again, what you would receive as a patron is going to be even more specific, right? Because when I discussed this October 9th, I even specifically said it's not time to short these stocks yet, but if they move into this price range. So I had to kind of predict where they were all going. And, again, because I just gave my patrons just a particular stock to short, in which we just exited last week. You know how much that stock plummeted 25% in 13 trading days. So you're always going to get better things than anything I post publicly by being a patron. And again, I'm going to discuss 2 more, because I discussed Salesforce. Again, I said Salesforce moves. Salesforce was trading around $260 on October 9th. And I said if it moves into the somewhere about $275, then it would be a good short. You know where it peaked at? So this one I was off, but not that much. It peaked at $270.16 on October 14th. Because remember, I'm trying to predict where these shares are going to peak at on October 9th. And since that time, on November 2nd, because if you go watch again, I said it's going to be sometime, if it moves into this price range between now and the U.S. presidential election, which you all know is today, November 3rd, which I'm uploading this, then it would be a good short. And as the market closed on November 2nd, it was trading at $232. So that's a drop of 14%. Again, 50% or higher profits on put options had you open them up. And the last one I said was a crap bank, was Deutsche Bank. And I said, if it trades at the upper end at $9.75 a share, it's time to take out put options on or to open up put options on this. And October 20th, so 12 days later, not 12 trading days later because there's some weekends in that, but 12 days later, because remember, I uploaded this October 9th in Asia, October 8th in the Americas, that it hit a high of $9.78. I was only off by 3 pennies on the high of Deutsche Bank. And that one is actually as of this point, is the word. You still may be able to play this to a lower price, although I wouldn't recommend it with all the price volatility is going to happen today, which is November 3rd. And it's just the morning here when I'm going to upload this in Asia. So it's just the evening of November 2nd. So tomorrow would be election day in America. I wouldn't recommend, holding or opening up any option trading strategies because market volatility is probably going to be through the roof on election day. But that one right now is only down dropped 5%. So since the 978, so it's at $9.56. No, where is it now? I don't know. I just did the percent calculation. I know it's only dropped 5%. But that was the worst out of the 6 stocks. So there you go. So you can see that obviously my Patreon's only because I said they're going to get much better, more specific investment tips than the ones I will ever provide publicly. And there you have proof of the high value you would receive for just $5 a month as a Patreon. Now, actually, the next video, or maybe it's going to be one of the next 3 videos that I upload. And for those of you that have just come to watch this, know that if you want to follow me, because again, I'm surprised like YouTube/Google hasn't, I know they shadow banned and throttled my channel tremendously, but I'm surprised that they still let it up because it's ridiculous. Because this channel, I think I started it like over a year ago. It was kind of just dormant for about 4 or 5 months. So really it's only been active for 7 months and it's still under review for monetization. They've been reviewing it for over a year and it refused to monetize it. They just say every time I look at the monetization, they say your channel is under review. And it's been like that for like a year straight. So obviously they're not going to monetize my channel. So, that's not a reason I want to upload because as you see with my blog, I've been posting articles about finance for free since 2006. Or was it 2007? Somewhere around that time. I think it was 2006. So I've been doing this forever. So I will still continue to do that. But make a mental note. Please do write this down. Because if I disappear from YouTube, because, once they ban you, you can't come online and make another video and say, hey, guys, YouTube, Google banned me. That's why I'm not uploading anymore. It will just be frozen. People will be like, what happened to you? You can always find me, make a mental note at k.im. K.im. It's a new social media platform that Kim.com, he's the one that had like the mega upload channel that Hollywood went after him for. He's an Austrian guy that lives in New Zealand that had the choppers land on his home for this big, all for show kind of force of the ruling class. So he got so fed up, he said, I'm going to try to make a YouTube killer. It's called K.im. It's just in beta mode now. So when it fully goes operational, I might still keep uploading here on YouTube just so people know. I'll keep mentioning I'm going to transition over, but eventually I'll transition over to K.im. And you can also always find my content at Podbean, at skwealthacademy.podbean.com. And all these channels are free. I don't charge on any of them, even on Spotify. If you use Spotify app, you can download my podcast there for free. I'll put all the links in the show notes below. And even on Apple iTunes, you can find my podcast for free on there as well. And if you listen to any of those channels, please, 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 please do me the favor of just subscribing, commenting every now and then, and liking or rating it. So if you rate my podcast channel, it helps it grow and gain more exposure. And I actually think I kind of got off track that in the next one of the next 3 videos, I'm going to talk about podcast 154, I mentioned that sometimes I think I'm crazy and I live in a parallel universe that is separate from the majority of people because it astounds me the lack of critical thought applied to beliefs in today's society amongst like everyone. This whole year has been astounding to me, my observations of what people believe so blindly, that is being force fed down their throat either by mass media, their politicians, how they have screamed and been obscene when epidemiologists say, hey, this virus is not that dangerous, you don't need to wear a face mask, you don't need to social distance, this isn't the way to handle it, and then people, just because it's a different opinion, and these are opinions given by medical professionals that have a lot more knowledge about the topic than people that have zero knowledge, and people aren't willing to listen to any kind of opinion that differs from their own, even from people that have a lot more knowledge. Now, I'm not saying blindly follow any doctor, because we all know Dr. F from the what health organization is a total fraud. So it's apropos that his first initial of his last name is F, because that should stand for Dr. Fraud. So that doesn't mean you blindly follow anyone that is in a position of authority, but you should be very critical, right? You should investigate for yourself before you conclude anything. So the next, I said I'm going to make and upload in one of the next 3 videos why a lack of critical thought thinking could actually cost you your life. And I'm going to give you a real world example that happened within the last year, in which just if people were trained to critically think in school, which you're not, which is one of the reasons I developed my 22 course online academy, Wealth Academy, because it's absolutely necessary. I actually believe the critical thinking classes that I give and provide in my Wealth Academy will save lives, because I'm going to give you a real world example of something that happened in this past year that if people have been critical thinkers, and now I'm not going to call them dumb for not applying critical thinking to their decision that cost 22 people their lives in an incident that happened this past year. And then many other people for their lives to be permanently negatively altered because they suffered such grave injuries that their quality of life will never be as good as it once was before this. And if they apply critical thinking again, and again, I'm not going to blame any of the victims, of course, because this is just how the educational system is in the world today. It's designed to strip us of our critical thinking skills. So I can't blame anyone for being the very person that I was 15 years ago or 20 years ago, because I wasn't a good critical thinker. All my critical thinking skills were developed out of self-education pursuits. And in fact, I will give you an example from my life in which I did exactly the same thing that cost these 22 people their lives. I did exactly the same thing, okay? And so I was dumb enough, although this situation was probably, when was this? I think it was it was closer to, it was before 2000, so it was more than 20 years ago when I did the exact same thing that cost these 22 people their lives. So obviously I was stupid enough and not a critical thinker then to just obey people in a position of authority so blindly and never question them that I'm really actually kind of lucky that it did not cost my life. So of course all of you are curious, what are you talking about? But just come back and watch that. So it'll probably be titled something like why critical thinking can save your life, or something like that. So thanks so much for watching. Always remain tested curious. Please subscribe to whatever platform you are listening or watching or viewing this on, and always remain immensely courageous. Thanks so much for watching, and have a beautiful day. Take care.